I never imagined death would feel like this. One moment, I was gasping for breath, chest tightening, heart racing. The next, silence. It wasn't dramatic like in the movies. There was no tunnel yet, no choir of angels, no flash of lightning, just stillness. The kind of stillness that hums louder than sound itself. A complete and total stop. I heard it first, the final beat of my own heart. Not from inside, but from outside. Like I was standing next to myself, listening to my life wind down. The air faded from my lungs. My body shuddered one last time. And that's when everything shifted. I found myself floating, hovering, somehow, above the room where I had just been alive. Below me, chaos. Doctors calling my name, nurses pressing hard on my chest, wires and monitors beeping in panicked rhythms. But none of it reached me anymore. Their voices were muffled, like shouts underwater, detached, remote. Then I saw it, my body, lying there, pale, motionless, mouth slightly open, eyes halfway closed, and for the first time in my life, I truly understood what it meant to be separate from flesh. I was still me, fully conscious, fully aware, but the shell I had lived in for years was now just an empty suit lying lifeless on a hospital bed. And in that moment, a thought cut through me sharper than any pain I had ever felt. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't finish what I came here to do. All the little moments I had rushed through, all the words left unsaid, they rushed back at me like a flood. I wasn't ready, not because I was afraid of where I was going, but because I hadn't truly lived while I had the chance. And yet, what happened next changed everything. Not just for me, but for how I see this world. And maybe, how you'll see yours. Before that moment, I thought I had time. Time to get things right, time to slow down eventually. Time to be fully present, later. But life doesn't wait for later. I lived like most people do. Distracted, busy, always somewhere else in my mind. Always scrolling, checking, comparing, staring into a screen instead of looking into the eyes of the people I loved. I worked hard. I stressed harder. I told myself I was building a life, but really, I was just surviving it. Even when I sat with family, my mind drifted. Thinking about the next task, the next deadline, the next thing to worry about. Tomorrow became my favorite word. I'll call them tomorrow. I'll rest tomorrow. I'll apologize tomorrow, but tomorrow has a cruel way of running out. I wasn't reckless, but I wasn't careful either. I ignored the warning signs. The chest tightness. The fatigue. The dizzy spells I brushed off as nothing. After all, I was too busy to be sick. I convinced myself that life would slow down when I finally earned the right to rest. When things got better, when the stress faded. But stress doesn't fade, it just waits. The truth is, I believed in God. I thought I understood what life was about, but believing in God and actually living like I knew Him. That's different. I said prayers at night, but I rushed them. I whispered thank you with half my mind still on my phone. I told myself I was spiritual, but deep down I was sleepwalking, spiritually numb, disconnected from the very things that make life meaningful. And on that ordinary day, the day I thought would be just like any other, I learned the hardest truth of all. Life on autopilot isn't really life at all, and sometimes you don't realize that until it's too late to hit rewind. I used to think death would be like falling asleep, a fade to black, a final breath, and then nothing. But that's not what happened. The moment my heart stopped, something else started. I became more aware, not less. At first, I was floating just inches above my body, staring down at the shell I had always called me. But now I saw the difference. That body was mine, but I wasn't inside it anymore. I watched the scene unfold like a silent movie. The nurses pressed their palms against my chest, counting out compressions. A doctor barked orders, clear, then shocked my body with paddles. My body jerked, my hands, limp, my lips, blue, my eyes, half closed. But I was still here, watching, thinking, feeling, and that's when the shock set in. I'm still conscious, I'm still me. I tried to speak, but no sound came. I tried to move, but I didn't have weight anymore, just awareness, pure awareness. Then came the confusion. Why can I still think if my body is dead? I had no heartbeat, no breath, But my mind, my soul was alive, more alive than it had ever been. I noticed details I never would have caught before: the sweat on the doctor's brow, the trembling hands of a nurse who whispered my name like a prayer, the beep of the monitor flatline echoing louder than any siren, and beneath all of it, a single thought whispered in my mind like a cold wind. Did I waste my life? I wanted to scream, to take it all back, to grab hold of the time I'd let slip through my fingers, but it was too late. Or so I thought, because just as panic threatened to swallow me, something shifted. I felt a pull, not physical, but spiritual, like gravity, but softer. An invisible current wrapped around me, gently lifting me away from the hospital room. I watched the scene below grow smaller, fading into the distance. The bright lights of the ER dimmed, the voices blurred, the machines and wires dissolved into silence. And then, all of it was gone. The walls, the people, the pain, the fear, everything faded, and I was moving towards something else, something greater, a realm of light I couldn't explain. The moment I crossed into the light, everything changed. It wasn't like walking into a room. There were no doors, no edges, no distance, just a shift, so sudden and yet so gentle, that I didn't even realize it had happened until I was fully there. And suddenly, every ounce of pain was gone. The tightness in my chest vanished. The stress I'd carried for years melted like ice beneath warm hands. The noise of the world, schedules, deadlines, regrets, it all dissolved into stillness. But this wasn't emptiness. It was love. Tangible love. The kind you don't just feel, you become. I tried to look around, but there were no corners, no ceiling, no sky. The light was everywhere. It wasn't harsh or blinding. It didn't sting my eyes. In fact, it felt like it came from inside me too, as if I was part of it. Time disappeared. I didn't know if I'd been there for seconds or centuries. And for the first time in my life, I didn't care. Time wasn't real here, only presence, only love. The memory of my body started to fade, so did the hospital room, the machines, the panic. Even my own name felt distant. But one thing grew stronger: love. Not the kind tied to condition or circumstance, but love as a living force. The kind that fills every crack in your soul until there's no room left for fear. And then, without words, the light spoke directly into my spirit. You were never meant to live in fear. That single truth sank into me deeper than anything I'd ever heard before. All the stress, all the worry, all the late-night panic attacks, the racing thoughts, the what-ifs, I wasn't designed for any of it. I was created for love. And standing in that light, I finally understood what peace really feels like. Then the light shifted. I wasn't moving anymore, but something around me was. It felt like the universe itself began to breathe, slowly pulling back layers of time and memory, revealing something I wasn't prepared to see. My life, from the moment I was born to the moment I died, it unfolded in front of me like a living tapestry. But this wasn't just a replay. It was a panoramic experience. I didn't just see my life, I felt it. Every moment I had ever lived was right there, and I could feel the impact of each choice, each word, each silence. Saw myself as a child, eyes wide, heart open, curious about the world. I felt the softness of early love, the simplicity of wonder. Then came the drift. I watched myself grow older, distracted by things that didn't matter. Deadlines, status, screens. I saw moments when people reached out to me, needing comfort, and I scrolled past them. When I should have spoken love, I stayed silent. When I could have forgiven, I chose pride. It wasn't about punishment. It wasn't about guilt. It was about truth. And the truth was this: I had wasted time. Not in obvious ways. I never meant to. But that's the tragedy. I saw the birthdays I rushed through, too busy to savor. The friends I let fade away because answering a text felt like too much. The family dinners where my eyes were on my phone instead of on their faces. And it wasn't just my life. The vision expanded outward. I saw the world, the collective state of humanity, from a perspective no human mind could naturally hold. I saw billions of souls living side by side, yet somehow more disconnected than ever. People scrolling endlessly, faces lit by screens instead of sunlight. Marriages breaking under the weight of silence. Children growing up feeling unseen. Wars in places I'd never thought about. Lonely people crying in rooms no one visits. People walking past each other, eyes down, hearts closed. I felt the ripple effects of my own small choices, and the world's too. Then came the realization. Simple, clear, final. Time is the most fragile thing we're given, and we waste it. Not always by choice, but by habit, by distraction, by fear. And standing there suspended in eternity, I saw how precious every second really is. Because once it's gone, you don't get it back. Then, he came. I don't know if he walked toward me or if I was drawn to him. Maybe both, but suddenly there he was. Jesus. Not like the paintings I'd seen growing up. Not like a story or a symbol. He was real. His presence didn't just fill the space, it became the space. Light radiated from him, but it wasn't just around him. It was him, a living light. Soft, but overwhelming. Gentle, but powerful enough to make my soul tremble. His eyes met mine, and in that instant, I knew he saw everything. Every mistake, every thought I never said out loud, every regret, every failure, every fear. And still, there was only love in his gaze. Not love in spite of those things. Love that understood them. Love that carried them. I didn't speak, not because I couldn't, but because there was no need. Communication here wasn't with words. It was with being, and yet somehow, he spoke directly into me. His voice wasn't sound, it was truth. You carry burdens you were never meant to hold. Let them go. That sentence shattered me in the best possible way. All the guilt I had stored up. The fear I had bottled. The ego I had protected. The resentment I had clung to. The silent shame I thought was mine to bear. All of it came rushing to the surface. And in his presence none of it mattered anymore. It simply dissolved. I felt lighter than I had ever felt. Not because my life was perfect, but because I was finally seeing it through love's eyes, not judgment. For the first time, I understood the difference between human love and divine love. Ours is conditional, his isn't. Standing there in front of Jesus, I didn't feel small. I felt seen, fully, completely, without hiding. And then, with my spirit still shaking from the weight of grace, I asked him the only question that made sense. Why was I shown this? Why the life review? Why the vision of earth? Why the pain of wasted time? His eyes didn't leave mine. And though his lips never moved, the answer filled my soul. Because you still have time to change it. I thought my encounter was just for me. A moment of peace. A reunion. A homecoming. But Jesus wasn't finished. His gaze, still locked on mine, shifted, not in love, because that never faded, but in focus. Like he was showing me something beyond myself. And then, I saw it. Not just my life, but life itself. Humanity. All of us. It was like standing on the edge of the universe. Looking down at Earth through eyes that see everything, the beauty and the heartbreak all at once. I saw people scrolling through their phones at dinner tables, while loved ones sat silently across from them, unnoticed. I saw families breaking apart, not from violence, but from apathy, from disconnection. I saw wars, yes, but also silent wars. Marriages imploding behind closed doors. Friendships dissolving over petty disagreements, souls starving for love while pretending to be fine. I saw people chasing distractions like they were oxygen, and underneath it all, I felt it, humanity is asleep. We've forgotten eternity. We're living like this life is all there is. Like death is some far-off thing that happens to other people, not realizing that every second, it moves closer. We cling to screens, to status, to possessions, as if they'll matter when our last breath comes. But they won't. Because in the end, it's not about what we've earned or what we've collected. It's about love, real love, the kind that lifts others, the kind that forgives, the kind that sees the lonely person in the corner, the kind that stops scrolling and starts living. And then Jesus spoke, not with his mouth, but directly into my soul. Tell them to come back to love. Tell them to return to me before it's too late. There was no anger in his voice, no threat, just sorrow. Not because he wanted to punish the world, but because he could see how close we are to losing ourselves completely. We're drifting from the very thing that gives life meaning. We're forgetting what we were created for. Love, connection, eternity. And as I stood there wrapped in his light, I knew this wasn't just about me anymore. This was a message for all of us. I didn't want to leave, not because I feared returning to my body, but because here in this place I had found the answer to every ache I'd ever had. Peace, love, purpose. All of it was here, in his presence. I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay where time couldn't touch me, where my failures didn't follow me, where love was not something I had to earn, but something I was made of. I looked at Jesus, silently pleading, "Please, let me stay." But he already knew my heart. He reached out, placing his hand gently over where my chest would have been if I still had a body. And he whispered, not aloud, but directly into my spirit, "You have work left to do." I wanted to protest, to explain that I was tired, that the world was too broken, that maybe someone else could carry this message instead. But then, without words, he showed me the faces of the people I love, family, friends, strangers I hadn't even met yet, but whose lives would be touched by what I had seen. Their souls flickered before me like candles in the dark. I realized something in that moment: staying would be easy, but returning, that was purpose. Jesus didn't force me, he simply let me see the choice for what it really was. And when I looked into his eyes one last time, I knew I would go back. Because this message wasn't meant to stay in heaven. It was meant for earth. Then came the moment I had dreaded. The return. It started as a pull, gentle at first, then stronger, like a current dragging me backward, away from the light, away from love. I felt my soul moving through something I can only describe as a tunnel, but not like any tunnel on earth. It was more like being drawn through layers of existence, passing through veils I never knew were there. The farther I drifted from the light, the heavier everything became. I felt the weight of gravity again, the density of the physical world. Compared to eternity, earth feels sharp, heavy, unforgiving. And then I slammed back into my body. It wasn't gradual, it was sudden. I gasped for air like someone drowning. My lungs burned, my chest ached. Every nerve screamed awake. I heard beeping, loud, urgent. I saw faces hovering over me. Some crying, some shocked, some simply staring. I was alive. But everything was different, because now I knew the truth. Death isn't the end. It's a doorway. And life isn't about running faster, achieving more, or checking off boxes. It's about love, connection, purpose. I wasn't sent back to fear death. I was sent back to stop wasting life. Ever since that day, I've lived differently. It's not that I became perfect. I still mess up. I still get distracted. But now I catch myself, because I've seen what matters and what doesn't. I forgive faster now. Not because people always deserve it, but because carrying resentment is too heavy for a soul that knows what peace feels like. I love deeper. I tell people I care about them, immediately, not someday. I show up when it's inconvenient. I stay present in moments I would have rushed through before. I prioritize people over possessions, experiences over things, purpose over perfection. I no longer fear death. What I fear now is wasting life. I fear scrolling past the people who need me. I fear silencing my own heart to chase things that won't matter when my time runs out. So, I share this story, not to convert you, not to preach, but to awaken you, to remind you of something you already know deep down but might have forgotten. This life is fragile. Time is sacred. Love is why we're here. I tell this story because I was given a second chance, not to build a platform, but to plant a seed that says stop waiting for later, stop believing you have unlimited time, start living now, forgive, love, look up from the screen, hold someone's hand, speak life into someone who's forgotten theirs, because one day, you'll leave your body too, and when you do, you'll see exactly what I saw. And I promise you this, it will change everything. If you've listened this far, there's a reason. I don't know when your time will come. None of us do. But I do know this. When your soul leaves your body, you won't care about the things you're worrying about right now. You won't care about money, or status, or followers, or the next notification lighting up your phone. You'll care about love. You'll care about truth. You'll care about what you did with the time you were given. And whether you realize it or not, that time is running out. For all of us, this isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because I've seen what's waiting on the other side of this life. And it's more real, more vivid, and more important than anything happening on this side of the screen. So don't wait. Don't wait to live fully. Don't wait to forgive someone you've written off. Don't wait to love completely, or to say the words you've been holding back. Don't wait to wake up spiritually. Don't wait to ask the hard questions. Don't wait to come back to God. The door to eternity is closer than you think, and when your soul leaves your body, you'll see exactly what I saw. You'll feel exactly what I felt, and you'll understand, in a way that no sermon, no lecture, and no book can explain, that love is all that matters. Not someday, not later, now, because now is all any of us really have.